So guys, we all know that the level of insecurity in Nigeria is alarming. Like, we are hearing every case worsening every day, and imagine that the government or the military, they recruited or are planning to recruit 40 repentant terrorists into our Nigerian army recruitment scheme. That means in this year we must have 40 repentant terrorists added to our army in this 2026. And guess what? This US man have been always calling out the government of Nigeria over Christians being killed in Nigeria. So he has a message to pass to Nigerians and to the world to listen. Take a look at that video and let me get your views in the comment. And please don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys in my next video.
We cannot allow barbaric laws to exist and for people to follow it, push it, defend it, yet argue for justice in Nigeria. But I come here as a missionary. I come here as a witness who's been on the ground in the very places that are being attacked. The very places that Nigerians themselves are too afraid to go to. Because I wanted to testify to the truth of what is happening. Lobbying groups like DCI, Islamic forces in Nigeria, and politicians want to try to label me as just some activist being paid by this person, paid by this organization. Our records are free and public online. Nobody has paid me and nobody sends me but God. And that's the very reason that I went to Nigeria. Because I knew that immense evil was happening. And I was questioning, why is this not mainstream in America? Why is the world not seeing and talking and acting when you see innocent people being killed in mass? Not just for 1 month, but for years, for 2 decades. And so I chose to go to Nigeria for that reason. I said, if nobody is gonna help and nobody's gonna stand, I will go and do it. And so I risked my own life to do just that. I knew nobody, but I chose to go because there was a call to do just that. And when I went to Nigeria, I was met immediately with killing. When I went to Plateau, and I went to build schools for Muslims in the north, in Miango, in Bokos, every day I'm getting reports, killing. Someone is messaging me, this person was ambushed, this attack happened, this village was burned. And I started to go spend time with victims' families. I started to go see the actual places that are being under attack as I was there. And I would meet women who are shedding tears and crying, just huddled in silence with their families because their husband was murdered in ambush as he went to go farm. He wasn't a terrorist, he committed no criminal act. He was a Christian who was living in Miango. And because of that, he was killed. And even the very places that I went to go and visit to drill, that very night, Christians were beheaded. In the very village I went to, a matter of meters from where I was, Fulani came in the night, they beheaded a boy, they beheaded a father who had committed no wrong. And as I'm trying to build in other places, in Zike of Miango, 50 Christians were murdered. Their entire village was burned. I was there the next day as smoke is still rising from those very homes. And as I enter this village going down this road, you have women that are flailing in the road, crying and screaming because their husband was just killed. That's the truth. And we rebuilt that village. But as I went to enter and I went into one compound where at least 6 or 7 homes were burned, 7 people were killed in that family. You had dozens of women and children that were huddled into one single room in silence. They're just in shock. And I enter this room and I'm trying to think, Lord, speak through me. Help me to encourage to these people. Help me to comfort them. But I was speechless. I tried to say whatever I could, but I broke down crying because what can I say to change the reality of what just happened? Their families were slaughtered, their homes were burned, they're left hopeless without help. They are forsaken people. What can I say to them? But that moment changed me. I said, even if I have $1,000, it's going to be used to benefit these people. I will not allow these people to be forsaken at the hands of evil terrorists, nor to be forsaken by their government. If nobody else will do it to help them, I will do it. And so I began to rebuild. I began to specifically target the populations and the people that are being killed for their faith and being killed in innocence. And I've been a witness to those very things. I'm not speaking from a screen in America. I'm not being paid by some lobbying group like the DCI is to go and spew lies just for a cause because I'm getting a paycheck. I'm not being paid to be in Nigeria. I am spending money in Nigeria. I've spent more money in Nigeria than any country I've ever worked in. My largest initiative is in Nigeria to rebuild the villages that have been burned down by terrorists, which NGOs and governments are not doing. When I entered Nigeria, not one village had been built. We were the first ones to start rebuilding. And it was that first mission in Nigeria that I started to see the truth. You can hear things from afar, you can see statistics, you can see a Nigerian just say something, but there's always skepticism to what is the truth of what's happening. And I started to experience this on a first-person basis. When you can see blood splattered, when you can see women falling down in the streets crying, and you hear those cries echo as you sleep. As you see smoke rising from villages. It's more than just a picture. It's more than just a news story. It becomes a reality. And it's those things that shook me, that impacted me in such a way that I could not sit on the sidelines. And that is why I chose to specifically take up the initiative in Nigeria to do what I'm doing. To begin to speak. Because I can't see these things happen and be silent. As a Christian, if you follow no God, it makes sense that you don't care. But for me, I'm a Christian and I follow Christ. And due to Psalm 82, we've been called to give justice to the oppressed, to the weak, the fatherless, to maintain the rights of the afflicted, to rescue the weak and the needy. And that is a call for us Christians. That means that is a call for me to act in Nigeria. And that's exactly what I've been doing. But we have evil forces that are lying and trying to cover up the truth. The government has made this clear. DCI Group has made this clear. And even myself, when I was in Nigeria a few months ago, I went to see a mass burial in the mortuary where the bodies are being held in Kuru of Jos South in Plateau State. I was refused entry by the Nigerian police, the DPO of that area. He said there was no attack, there's no reason for this burial to be covered, you should just leave. The Nigerian police did this. Yet the truth was that Christians were murdered in a mining site, having done no wrong. The bodies were still being cleaned and dragged through the mortuary with blood stains everywhere. You could hear the echoes of the people crying. And the police are saying, nothing happened. There was no attack. There was no murder. You don't need to be here. You don't need to show anybody. Just leave. I refused. Ezekiel Dachomo came. The youth leaders came. They said, ignore this person. You're going in, period. I went in. And what was I met with? I was met with boys, young men, who had bullet holes across their bodies. Blood was literally pouring out of those bullet holes as I was there. I have videos and I have pictures of this moment. You had blood stains of bodies that were dragged through the mortuary. People that were killed in innocence. And a father who was just looking at his son's body as blood is pouring out. People that are crying and wailing. They're saying, when will people stand for us? When will there be justice for people who are being killed innocently? And those moments only motivated me more. You have to speak. You have to act. This has to be told. Because this isn't just a terrorist group that is operating in one area doing some things. You have terrorist groups around Nigeria. You have the Fulani militia terrorists that are operating pretty much in every single state in Nigeria. And you have a government who is watching it and directly allowing it. And you cannot argue the facts. Why is it that the police will directly lie to me when I already knew the truth before I arrived? Tell me, why is it that leaders in the DSS, the Federal Security Agency of Nigeria, will tell me that only a few dozen were murdered in Yelwada? That they doubt even 30 people were killed in Yelwada, Benue. When 1 year ago, almost 300 Christians were killed. At least 100 buildings were burned to the ground, homes and shops. And yet it's a federal person high in power who says it was only 30 people. Yet I already knew the truth. Equipping the Persecuted just built a monument in Yelwada with every name of the person who was killed. And guess how many there were? Almost 300. So if federal people, if security forces are directly lying and misleading about the truth, what does that say? It paints an extremely dark picture. Even the reverend, the now governor of that state, says there's no genocide. It's just ethnic. It's just farming disputes. This is what you're going to hear from the lobbying group. This is what you're going to hear from governors and paid actors of the government in Nigeria. It's just farmer-herder conflict. It's just ethnic. There's no religious aroma about this. There's no persecution. There's no intentional killing and targeted killing. It's just this conflict. It is being mischaracterized to be something it's not. This is what they tell you. But we have some very important questions we have to ask. Let's say that it is because of global warming. They're migrating from the country, the Republic of Niger. They're coming further south because they need more grass for their cattle. Let's go with this. I'll ask you this question. If the Fulani terrorists have taken over all of the interior rural lands, why are they going to the main roads that lead to the capital? Why are they killing people and burning villages along main roads if they already have taken over all the interior land that is vast? Is the grass any different? If you go 10 kilometers interior, is that grass better than the grass along the road? The answer is no. And if it's about competition, if the Fulani are competing for that grass, this means that other Fulani herders are eating the same grass. This means that anybody who is using that grass is a competitor. Why are they not killing other Fulani?
Yes.
Why are they not killing other Muslims? Why is it that across Plateau, in Benue, in Taraba, in Kaduna, these places, they are directly and only killing Christians? I'm not speaking to Borno, I'm not speaking to Zamfara and Sokoto. I'm talking about the Middle Belt. Areas that they are directly targeting and killing Christians. Why are they not killing other Fulani people? They're eating the same grass. They are just as much of a competitor as the Christians are. Yet they're not attacking Fulani settlements. They're not killing Fulani people. They're not beheading them. They're not going into their villages chanting Allahu Akbar and slaughtering people. They're only going to the Christians. Even as I'm rebuilding a village in Barkin Ladi, my own worker took a machete to his head. The very village we're rebuilding, 7 people were just killed last month. They were Christians. Did they do anything wrong? Did they commit a crime? They didn't. They were targeted. They were killed because of who they are. And it shows that there is an effort to displace people, to take over. There's a greater agenda at hand. Just 2 days ago in Mushere, Bokos, they killed over 20 Christians. A few days before that in Kaduna, they murdered more Christians. Essentially, they cut a boy's head in half. A 5-year-old boy, a 6-year-old boy. I want you to imagine that. Your own son or your own daughter having their head cut in half in the name of so-called global warming and grass conservation. I'm sick of these lies. I'm sick of people distorting the reality. I'm sick of people that are hiding the truth of what is happening. It's been too long. It's been 2 decades. It is time that people tell the truth, that people actually act, that people call it for what it is. They're not bandits. They're not herders. They are terrorists.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And if the foreign community and the Nigerian government refuse to call it for what it is, it's no surprise that this goes on for 2 decades. They can't even admit who the actual perpetrators are. What else do you call when someone enters the village yelling Allahu Akbar, beheading people, burning villages? What do you call that? Is that just normal criminality? Is that someone who just goes and steals a phone and runs off? Is that gang violence?
No.
It is all-out terrorism.
Yes.
And it's part of a greater Islamic agenda.
Yes.
Because we see people that are being targeted, people that are being killed because of their faith. If you blaspheme Muhammad, if you blaspheme the Quran, if you say something that Muslims disagree with, they have the right to kill you. This is how they view themselves. And this is what we see consistently in Nigeria. Please, give me a moment to talk about Deborah. In Sokoto State. She was a Christian in university. She was in a group chat talking about her exam. She was happy. People were talking about Islam. She questioned, why are we talking about Islam in a school group chat? The Muslims were so angry. They said that she blasphemed Muhammad in the Quran. They went and they stoned her. They put tires around her and burned her alive. Is there justice today for Deborah? Was one person arrested and held accountable? The answer is no.
No.
Bounties are put on the heads of pastors if they blaspheme. People are killed if they blaspheme. Is this compatible with any free society in the world today? It is not. It is barbaric. Sharia is barbaric.
It is.
And that's part of the basis of this meeting today. If you want a free society in Nigeria, if you want religious persecution to be over, it is incompatible with having Sharia established across the country. And this is a great initiative of Muslims in Nigeria, because to be a Muslim is to follow, believe, and establish Sharia. They're intertwined, interwoven. You cannot separate them. And so we cannot fight for justice when the very basis of the injustice is Sharia. Because on the basis of Sharia, there's injustice. If you do not submit and follow, you will be targeted. Which country in the world where Islam is primary is there freedom of religion? Is there freedom of the press? Is there freedom of speech? Is there freedom of action and practice? Is there freedom in Somalia? Is there freedom in Yemen? Is there freedom in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, in the UAE, in Malaysia, Iran, Pakistan? Which of these places where Islam rules is there freedom? There's not. Yet they come to our places and take advantage of our freedom to establish Islam and to establish the same laws that we are trying to fight. We cannot allow Sharia to take over here, and we should not allow it to take over Nigeria. If Nigeria falls, Africa falls. That is the truth. And if the West does not view this to be a threat, you are so wrong. Because it's happening under our own eyes in our own country, let alone in Nigeria. And we have to stand against that. We have to stand against Sharia. We have to stand against terrorism. And we have to take extreme measures to protect our country and to protect those that are innocent.
Stop calling on President Donald Trump to come and save you, Nigerians. President Donald Trump will not come and save you. Yeah. We have President Donald Trump is not your president. He's not the one that is elected or stolen the mandate whatsoever. He's not the one that is in Aso Rock. He holds you no responsibility whatsoever. Stop calling on President Donald Trump to come and help you. I love the man. President Donald Trump, I love him. A man at his age, 80 years old, fantastically doing well. I like his policies. I like how he behaves. I have no problem against him. But you must understand that Trump is a nationalist. America comes first for him. No matter how much he hates what is happening in Nigeria, he dislikes the persecutions, he dislikes all those things. But if you make him a deal that will benefit America, he will take that deal. As far as Trump is concerned, MAGA, make America great again. That is his mantra. That is what he's after. Whatever will add to the economy of America, whatever will benefit the people of America is what Trump is after. If at this time, you cannot begin to organize yourselves for self-defense, you are in trouble. I keep saying this thing. Sometimes I just wonder if these people don't understand. When I see these attacks these days, I feel so angry. I'm not even angry at those at the assailants anymore, at the Fulani terrorists anymore. I'm angry at the people. How will somebody do? They do it faster, they do it second, they do it every single day. They keep doing this. And yet you are waiting for Trump to come and save you. No, he will not come and save you. Information reaching me is that they made America a good deal. There are some things they have made, deals they have made with America, and that's why you find out that the momentum dropped. Unlike last year, remember what it was like last year, November, December. Now the momentum has dropped greatly. Because Tinubu has gone there with his fellow criminals, with his hoodlums, to go and lobby them, make them good deals. Good deals that profit American government. And what do you expect the man to do? To turn it away? Simply because he wants to help you? No, he wouldn't do that. He holds you no responsibility whatsoever. You have the service chief, you have the president that is supposed to be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And there are people that are in captivity for almost 80 days now. School children in Oyo there are there, right inside Oyo State. They are there. They didn't take them out of Oyo State. Right inside Oyo State. Till this time, they've not been able to rescue them. Stop wasting your time. If you don't take your destiny in your hands now and begin to organize yourself in local groups, I made a post that some people say, hey, where will they get the weapon? No problem. Wait there so that until the day they come to meet you. It seems as if what I see you don't see. It seems as if as much as I try to educate people, I come alive and I keep shouting and ranting. It seems as if most of you don't understand that what you are seeing right now is far less than what is to come. What you are seeing right now is a child's play to what is to come. You don't know. You don't know. So if it is Trump you're waiting for to come and defend you, you will die and die for nothing. God knows it will never come to it will not come to me, or you will not come and attack my church. We'll kill each other there. We will die together there. You will not eliminate my members and go scoffing. No, it will not happen. I will do everything possible to protect my own. If you not come, if those people from each communities, you cannot begin to, those of you that are abroad and in different places in Nigeria that God has blessed, if you cannot begin to have home meeting, town meeting, community meetings, and begin to strategize ways for protecting yourself, especially in the middlemen, Benue, Kaduna, Jos, Taraba, and those communities. You waste your time. You waste your lives. Stop calling on Trump. I thank Reverend Ezekiel Dochomo, a man compassionate, a man that is body with the affairs of the nation, and every time he's always calling on Trump. Sir, President Trump will not help you, sir. Change the mantra for calling on Trump and begin to encourage the people. Does it not bother you, Reverend Ezekiel, that every single time you are conducting burial? Have you not been able to tell the people to arm themselves? Have you not been able to? All those guys, look at them in the video. All of them are there, they are class one club, and I look at them. These people could be the next victims. So, do you not tell them these things? That they could be the next victims. Just know they could be the next victims. Stop calling on America. Every time you are in the grave, you are conducting men's weather, you are calling on Trump to come and help you. How about those people? Tell them to go arm themselves. And I learned that some people say whenever they arm themselves, that the army will come and begin to disarm them. How many times have I told you that anybody that is disarming you is the same as your enemy? Treat him, give him the same treatment as you do to those that come to take your life. Whosoever is coming to take away your ammunition is after your life. He wants you to be vulnerable. He wants you to be killed. He wants you to be vulnerable, be killed. So if the army is coming to come and take away your weapon, treat the army exactly what you do to the Fulani jihadists. It is no more time for you to for every time keep conducting burial, calling to President Trump, come and save us. No. A time for that is gone. Tell these people to arm themselves, Reverend Ezekiel. Man of God, I love and respect you. Tell them to arm themselves. Tell them to in vigilantes in groups. In each community, in each village. Put in security measures. Let the wealthy men from that community empower them with resources. Get weapons and be ready. Like I've always said, don't attack anybody. But whenever they come, ensure they don't live alive. Don't stop calling on Trump. Trump is a nationalist. The man is doing the best he can for his country. Hold the one you that is in Aso Rock. The failure of a man that is in Aso Rock, hold him responsible. Stop calling on Trump. If you're waiting for Trump to come and help you, you will suffer. The man is a nationalist. He cares for America more. Make him a deal that will profit America and you forget every other thing. He doesn't care. America is his priority. And yes, that is what he's want to do. To make America great again. Yes. Not to make Nigeria great again. Or not to save Nigeria from bandits. If you don't protect yourself, reference, stop calling on Trump. Let these people protect themselves. Every time I make a post, you'll be tagging Predator. No! If you don't understand the Ohofia standard at this time, I've been talking of the Ohofia standard. If you cannot begin to adopt the Ohofia standard at this time, you will fall prey and it will be on you.
Alex Biba is a US person, but guess what? He's talking about this security more than Nigerians, more than our government. Our government are even shielding these terrorists. Imagine recruiting over 40 of them back in the communities. Is alarming. It's mind-blowing. It's a proof the government don't want to tackle insecurity in Nigeria, because if they want to tackle it, they won't be recruiting 40 repentant terrorists all in the name that they repented. 40 of them. Do you know what is 40? Bringing in 40 terrorists into our military, our army. And thank God that the armies are pushing against it, because if this happens, I don't think, because more have happened. We have seen it where the government recruited not even 40, over 100 and something. We have seen it before, and we have seen where it have led us, where our army might be on a mission, and they will just blow them. How did they get the information? Because somebody is giving them that information from the military. Somebody in the army is giving that information, and who could that be? But they're recruiting more terrorists into the society. We are asking how can they tackle the insecurity, but rather they're bringing in more into Nigeria. They're bringing in more terrorists into Nigeria. How do they expect to tackle insecurity if they're bringing more of these terrorists that have been killing people in Nigeria and they've not been punished? Under APC government, we have lost over 16 generals. 16 generals, and guess what? All the people that killed them are scot-free. None of them were arrested. We have lost 60 major generals in the hands of APC government. What have they done? Nothing. Those terrorists are being pardoned, brought back into the community just because they've repented. Imagine our defense minister calling them our prodigal son. NSA to the president calling them our brothers. Sheikh Gumi have come out to publicly tell us that these people are going nowhere, that we should learn to live with them, and then we expect our government to tackle this insecurity, whereas they are romancing it. Forgiving 40 terrorists into the community, into the Nigerian army, is something that is not a welcome development, because they might do more worse. But let me know in the comment, please subscribe and see your views.